to Political Paradigm. I'm Terry Ikumi. My guest is Senator Dino Melaye. Distinguished Senator Melaye, welcome to Political Paradigm.
Thank you very much.
I can still say congratulations on the successful PDP convention.
Yeah, very well so.
That's nice.
Thank you very much.
We will talk about the details of that convention and what to expect from the new National Working Committee. But let me begin by asking you this. You've tasted the waters of the PDP and the APC. If we look at party politics, away from governance, internal party politics, how do they compare?
To start with, the PDP is a political party, and the APC is a mere NGO. It's a non-governmental organization. It's not a political party, because all the elements and ingredients of political party, as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, is absent in the APC, and also most of the elements and factors that are very important in the formation of a political party, as enshrined in the Electoral Act, is also absent. As I speak to you today, for 6 years, the APC have no board of trustees. And without a board of trustee, you can't run a political party without a board of trustees. For 6 years, the APC have no board of trustees. The APC have no national elected officers. So there's no NWC. What you have is a caretaker committee that is alien to the APC constitution herself, and also alien to the constitution and other extant laws of this country. You can't run a political party without elected officials, national officials of the party. And today, that is absent in the APC. As I also speak with you, APC have not been able to conduct even one convention. I mean, they keep postponing their convention. I mean, and you can see that the PDP within the past few years have conducted 2 major, successful, transparently honest conventions. So I will not be comparing the two as political parties, but I will be comparing the two as one political party against maybe an NGO called the APC. So if you talk of internal democracy starts from constituting your national officers. The PDP have just conducted a very successful national convention and have produced officers, men and women of proven integrity to run the affairs of the party. That is democracy in play. That is internal democracy in play. You know, while the APC is yet to conduct a convention, and of course they have no national. So if you talk about internal democracy, there's no internal democracy in the APC. I was in the APC, and I can say once I was blind, now I can see. And I will tell you that my sojourn in the APC is like a man going to the land of Canaan. And for you to get to the land of Canaan, you must pass through Egypt. And APC was my Egypt. And now I'm very comfortable in Canaan.
So how then do you react to people who say that the PDP and the APC are the same, bearing in mind that the makeup is almost the same? You find people who were in the PDP and now in the APC, people who were in the APC and are in the PDP.
It is not correct. It is not correct to say that they're the same. For I can tell you categorically without mincing words that most of the political parties in this country do not have ideology. I mean, they are not ideologically based. But that is not to say that the APC and the PDP operate on the same pedestal. Not at all. Not at all.
But how about the people who make up these parties? What makes them any different? Because if you talk of ideologies, you expect that politicians should have their own as well. Meaning that if you go to a political party, you go there because of certain ideologies that you expect or you have and they possess as well.
Yeah, the constitution of these parties are different. The formative agendas of these parties are different. APC was already packaged together. And that is why it's a coat of many colors. Why the PDP was consciously created by people who deliberately sat down over time to build a national political party. So you find out that there are 2 different, their formative stages, different, their conception, different, their delivery, different. So that is why you cannot compare both. While there's still a lot to do in the PDP, there's still a lot to correct and ameliorate in the PDP. PDP still have more democratic ingredients than the APC.
But we've had quite a number of defections from the PDP owing to some internal wranglings as well. Let's talk about the former chairman, the immediate past chairman of the PDP, Uche Secondus, who many feel was unfairly treated. Do you agree that he was unfairly treated? Do you think it was time for him to go?
I would not want to say if he was fairly or unfairly treated, because the issue of the PDP is an internal problem. And you can say at the end of the day, it did not have any positive concomitant effect, or rather negative concomitant effect on the structure of the party, the activities of the party. Everything went all smoothly. While Secondus is by constitution, by rights, entitled to his opinion, entitled to his rights of going to court and all that, and which is a fundamental, inalienable right of every Nigerian. But you can see that that did not have any adverse effect on the structure, the running, and the vision of the party. So, but defection, like you said, people practice two different types of democratic norms in this country. While some are Democrats and they practice democracy, government of the people, by the people, and for the people, some practice greediocracy, government of the greedy, by the greedy, and for the greedy. For the few who practice greediocracy, or for those who have EFCC and ICPC cases who want to get out of it, I mean, they're finding a vital ground in the APC, because once you are a sinner, you join the APC and your sins are forgiven. So those who moved for very extraneous reasons. For it's either they have EFCC cases or they just want to.
But some of those who moved to the APC are still going through those cases right now.
But yeah, because they didn't know that to dine with the devil, you need a long spoon. So I mean, I congratulate them and I wish them well. But the truth of the matter is, the APC is harboring people who have pending criminal cases in court, and those who think it's a safe haven for the atrocities committed. But for those of us who believe that head or tail, I mean, we want justice in this country, we want an egalitarian society, we want a country where justice and peace will reign, who have remained in the PDP.
Well, let's stick with the PDP.
And many of them are regretting it anyway.
Let's stick with the PDP former chairman now. You talked about how the issue with him did not affect the party in any way, but he's a politician, meaning he has a political structure. With the internal wranglings in the PDP, and because I did speak with Senator Saraki at the convention, and he said, yes, there are agitations in the party, but it did not stop the convention, as you mentioned. However, it doesn't mean that there are no agitations, and that definitely would, to an extent, have an effect on the party at some level. Are you not concerned about that?
I still want to say that it has no effect on the party, because as I speak to you, even Secondus have not decamped to any other political party. You understand? It's not as if we decamped from the PDP. And even in every family, there must be agitations, there must be arguments, there must be disorder, but that does not mean that the whole roof is coming down. You understand? There's normal bickerings within a political party, but we are both Secondus and the other side are patriotic enough to not do anything that will tear the party apart.
But for someone who, under his leadership, you were able to reclaim some states. You got Oyo back. You had Bauchi, you had Adamawa. Should I mention Imo, which was eventually taken away based on the Supreme Court ruling? And then there's Edo State. If he says he was unfairly treated, is he right?
I am not Secondus, and I do not have the celestial powers to reason Secondus or to think for him. He is entitled to his opinion, he's entitled to whatever thinking he's going through. I'm not in his shoes, so I don't know if he's fairly treated or unfairly treated. But what I'm trying to make you understand is that both Secondus and every other person in the PDP will have a common goal, and that is to rescue this country from the satanic administration of the APC and to build a better society. That's bond is keeping everyone together. But as a human being, as an individual, Secondus have the right to ask for what he thinks is, if he thinks there are infractions anywhere.
I think it's interesting that you have kind words for him, because the River State governor didn't have those kind of words for him. Described him as an enemy of the PDP. That's why
I will not describe him as an enemy of the PDP.
Very well.
And he's still a member of the PDP.
Let's talk about the new leadership of the PDP, the National Working Committee now. They have their work cut out for them going into an election year. As we approach the 2023 general elections, what are your expectations of this new leadership?
What I expect from the new leadership is success, victory, triumphant songs, and complete booting of the APC from Aso Rock. Because I think the PDP is fortunate to have Dr. Yocha Ayu as our national chairman, the man who is intellectually sagacious, intellectually mobile, a seasoned administrator, very urbane, very humane. And I want to believe that we have a chairman that will pull us out of the woods. More importantly, a chairman that will unify the party. Not only unify the party, but a chairman that will send APC packing from Aso Rock. And apart from the chairman, if you look at the cream of other party officers, Senator Sam Anyanwu to Honorable Bature, the organizing secretary, these are people of proven integrity. These are Democrats that are very patriotic citizens of this country. And I do believe that the new crop of leadership of the party is better composed than anyone we've had in the history of this country.
Okay.
And I want to believe that under the capable, indomitable, indefatigable leadership of Dr. Yocha Ayu, we can only sing victory songs.
Let's talk about Kogi State now. Your posters are everywhere. What exactly is the intention? Are you fully committed to running for governor?
Yeah, by the grace of God, I will run for the governorship of Kogi State. And for me, it's a rescue mission from ineptitude, from maladministration, from perfidy, from corruption, from mismanagement of public funds. And we need to rescue the state because as I speak to you today, the state is in a very pitiable situation. Our looting has been redefined by the governor of Kogi State, and a number of cases are awaiting him at the EFCC. And there's a government without governance in Kogi State. The governor is yet to commission one project in about 6 years. Salaries are not being paid. Existing infrastructures of the party, of the state have been sold by the governor. There's nothing
Such as which one?
And in fact, 90% of the properties owned by Kogi State government in and outside the state, in Lagos, in Kaduna, in Abuja, have been sold.
Do you have details of these properties that have been sold?
I have details of the properties that have been sold. And I'm saying it on the national TV that 90% of our investment as a state have been sold by Ayabelo. So, I mean, this child of perdition, this prodigal son of Kogi State. But I want to say that everything that has been sold will be recovered. Everything that was bought with our common patrimonial, will be recovered. I assure you that.
How do you hope to win in Kogi State? That's what a lot of people would ask. Because in the last election, you lost your local government to Senator Smart Adeyemi. How do you hope to win it?
Your information is not correct.
The reports say you lost.
No, the information is not correct. To start with, democracy is about the people. Election is about the people. And as long as it will continue to be about the people, I will continue to win elections in Kogi State. You will recall that there was a recall exercise, and that is the acid test. Recall exercise that was masterminded by the governor of Kogi State, and where I was under detention by the police. And that recall exercise took place, and it was conducted by INEC. And the entire nooks and crannies of Kogi West, they got just 5%. That is to tell you my acceptability.
But that was before the 2023, the 2019 election.
The same people. The same people.
No, you losing your local government was the 2019 election.
I never lost my local. Your facts are not correct. I claimed to have lost the election because my local government is just one out of 7 local governments. But I won my local government.
With how many votes? What was
I didn't lose my local government. But at the end of the day, when the election was manipulated, you will recall that helicopters were brought, guns were fired, my nephew was killed in my compound. Understand? At the end of the day, they declared the election inconclusive. And you will also remember that I won the election in 2019, but it was taken away from me at the court. It's not as if I won 6 out of 7 local governments in 2019. But when they went to the court to take away the elections and the court ordered a re-election, that was when they came with all armored tanks, police, soldier, helicopter, and about 10 people lost their lives that day. And the election was declared inconclusive. And then there was a rerun of election that was also militarized. And the video is everywhere where the governor is posting of and they use that to write the results. But as long as elections will be about the people, as long as elections will be non-violent, as long as election and votes will count, Dino Melaye will always win the election in Kogi State.
Well, speaking of winning elections, there's some crisis in the PDP in Kogi State.
And you will recall, let me quickly also point to you. I was in APC in 2015. I won the elections. I moved to PDP in 2019. I won the elections. So you will know that it's not about the structure or the political inclination.
If you say
but it's about the person
Senator,
of Dino Melaye.
If you say you won the elections in 2019, you're not the senator.
I won the election in 2019 and I was sworn in as a senator and I spent 9 months.
So that means you're making, you're
No,
throwing out the
and I spent
decision
some months
of
in the Senate before the courts. Maybe you need to understand that that election was nullified
by the court.
Yeah. I haven't spent.
So you clearly reject
about 7 or 8
the judgment of the courts till date.
Second, I don't want to start. I haven't graduated as a law student. I would not want to disparage the judiciary.
Very well.
Public. We are all Nigerians and we knew what happened.
I was going to draw your attention to the crisis in the PDP in Kogi State. You had mentioned that you wanted an audit of the finances of the PDP in Kogi State, and that's raising some negative reactions now. Some members of the PDP in the state are saying that you're trying to destabilize the party, and then there's the issue with the party chairman in the state. How will that affect your chances?
How can the call for a probe create problems? If somebody accused me, Dino Melaye, you are a thief, and I think you should be investigated, I will be happy. Knowing that I'm not a thief, I'll be happy for a probe to take place by a certified audit firm. So a call for probe in the PDP in Kogi State is not new to Dino Melaye. I've called for probes in every sector and facet of our national life. I've called for probe even in the National Assembly before. So what am I doing that is new? Before the PDP can sanitize the country, we need to sanitize ourselves. And because I'm a member of the PDP does not mean that if there are infractions within the PDP, I should keep mute and quiet to it. I think that should rather be celebrated and that should rather be encouraged than for those who have questions to answer and are agitated. So the leadership of the party at the national level will not close their eyes to a request for a probe in any state or any chapter of the party, because the PDP is a transparent party. The PDP believe in equity, believe in justice, believe in fairness, believe in transparency. So if there's a call for a probe in any chapter of the party, either at local government or state or federal level, it should be allowed, except there's something to hide.
But do you fear that with this kind of internal wrangling in the PDP in Kogi State, that it could affect your chances of emerging
There's no internal wrangling. Election is about, I just told you, election is about the people. It's not about the party officials. It's not about some powerful individuals. It's not about the elites. It's not cosmopolitan. Election is about the people. And I know that by the grace of God, I'm with the people. And when the time comes, that will be exercised.
Speaking of the people, what are your intentions for the people of Kogi State as you prepare to run for governor?
To start with, we as a state, we are too blessed to be poor. Kogi State is the gateway state. And Kogi State shares borders with about 12 states in this country. And you cannot nexus the northern protectorate of this country and the southern protectorate without passing through Kogi State. So, our proximity with the federal capital is another added advantage. The mineral resources that is beneath the earth's surface in Kogi State, you can only imagine the success story. First, I am going to treat the citizens of Kogi State as customers. My relationship with the citizens of Kogi State will be a customer relationship, because you know how these multinationals and companies respect customers. They say the customer is always right. Even if you put a call through now to the customer service of MTN, you, a bricklayer, putting a call to the customer service, a graduate at the other end will tell you, "Good afternoon, sir. How are you, sir? What can I do?" That is customer relationship. So the relationship between government and the citizens of Kogi State will be government and customer. It's going to be a government-customer relationship. Because when you respect and dignify your citizens, you will never do anything wrong. You will definitely do things, only the things that will promote the prosperity of the state. To start with, tourism. Kogi State is a tourist attraction. It's a former federal capital of this country. And with the water we have, all the way from Lokoja to Onitsha, is a serious resource. There's no reason why we will not be holding Olympic, aquatic and marine games in Lokoja. People travel all over the world. They go to Trinidad, they go to Miami, they go to Dubai, a desert, and they go on sea cruise for 3 hours, a safari cruise, and pay a lot of money. I want to say you can travel 8 hours from Lokoja to Onitsha on the Atlantic Ocean. But that has not been celebrated. That has not been commercialized. That has not been privatized. Then you now talk about mineral resources beneath the earth's surface. In commercial quantity, we have more than 52. From gypsum to uranium to gold to limestone in serious commercial quantities. It has not been exploited. Then the intellectual bank of Kogi State is there to be exploited. Then there's loose funds all over the world that you can attract to develop these resources. Go into partnership and create an enabling environment. Do the PPP, build, operate, and transfer after 15 years. Build employment base. Improve the infrastructure of the place. And the IGR of the place will shoot up. You don't even need federal allocation. All you need is sincerity of purpose, of heart, and commitment to build a society that will be just, that will be egalitarian, and that the youths will not be. Then you go ICT. 40 years ago, only countries with extractive industries produced the richest people in the world. The Sultan of Brunei, King Fahad, they were the richest people in the world at the time because of the extractive industry they control. But the world has moved from that. The richest people today are not people who have extractive industries. They are people with ideas. Ideas is the new oil. Ideas now rule the world. And you cannot catapult these ideas without ICT. So I'm going to make sure that from nursery school, the curriculum of schools will definitely change, because ICT will be introduced from nursery schools down to the universities. And government will now build nursery schools. There will be government-owned nursery schools, because today we are producing people without capacity. We are producing graduates that are not employable, who are educated illiterates, because the foundation is faulty. But if you get the foundation right from a child who went through nursery and primary school, is definitely different from a child who just went into a public primary school from class 1. So education is going to be one of our focal points. Agriculture is there. If you go to Igala land today, sesame seed grows in the backyard of every house. Cassava in the west, even in the central part of the states. All this will be organized. Mechanized agriculture that will bring profitability, bring employment. Then, training and retraining in the education sector is also there. So, I do know that if there is opportunity, we are going to turn this trade around. And Kogi State will be the most economically viable state because of our position, because of the natural resources we have, and because of the level today, apart from Ekiti State, Kogi State have the highest number of professors in this country. How have we commercialized that? How have we tapped into that resource provision?
Distinguished, let's go to the 2023 presidential election now. There are some interests in your party, and there are concerns about zoning. Are you also concerned about zoning? Where do you think that the presidential ticket should be zoned to?
Anyway, I'm not going to discuss the internal, I'm not going to discuss issues of the party, where party have not taken decisions on public TV or channels TV.
But are you concerned? But are you concerned that the chances of your party could be affected depending on where that position is zoned to?
I want to tell you that at the end of the day, the PDP will only do what will be profitable to Nigerians. The PDP is all about the people. That is why even from the name, you have People's Democratic Party. So we're going to do only those things that will promote the unity, prosperity of this country. So at the end of the day, decisions that will be taken by the party will be in consonance and agreement with the aspirations of Nigerians.
That's some level of confidence you're exhibiting.
Yeah.
But then let me ask you this. Apart from the rhetoric that the PDP has been pushing, that Nigerians are tired of the APC, what exactly would make Nigerians return to the PDP?
Anyway, I want to start by saying it's not rhetoric. It's the basic truth, it's the fact that Nigerians are tired of the PDP. Every Hausa Malam who praised Buhari is now insulting Buhari on social media and on the pages of newspapers. Today in this country, the APC have gone ahead to campaign for PDP, even ahead of the elections. I bought rice 4 years ago, 8,000 naira per bag. Today I'm buying a bag of rice for 25,000 naira. I fly economy to Lagos, 23,000. Today I'm flying economy to Lagos for 80,000. With 50 naira, my gate man will go to Meshai, take shai, have indomie, and egg. That is not possible today. Even pure water is now a luxury in this country. The value of naira to dollar when the PDP was in power. Astronomically today, you can see that the situation is outrageously calamitous. Gross incompetence. And you cannot give what you don't have. So Nigerians, if you don't marry two wives, you may be difficult, you may not even appreciate what you have. But now that Nigerians have seen the gross incompetence, colossal failure of the APC, Nigerians have seen that Buhari's administration have recorded F9 parallel in all sectors of our national life. All sectors of our national life. So you don't need to be told.
But that doesn't answer the question of why would they return to the PDP?
Why they will return to the PDP is, that's what I'm saying, that when you marry two wives, you think your older wife, understand, is not good. But when you now marry a promiscuous, understand, prodigal wife, who is a devouring spirit, you will definitely go back to your old wife.
Well, what you're saying...
And what I'm saying in essence is that Nigerians have seen for themselves that the APC is our albatross. The APC is the source of our problem as a nation. Nigeria have never been as divided as it is today. Not even during the Civil War. The number of killings per day, the insecurity in the system, the kidnapping, the banditry, and there is no capacity or capability to tame it. Nigerians have seen that while Before, the problem was confined to the Northeast. But today, every part of this country is not safe, including the Federal Capital Territory, where the president resides. Sometime this year, there was a case of burglary in the villa. To tell you the magnitude and intensity of the insecurity in this country. Traditional rulers are now being kidnapped. House of Assembly members are now being killed. So it is no longer the issue of the masses or the poor. The elites of this country, the urbane, the cosmopolitan individuals are now experiencing the same level and magnitude of insecurity. So who in his right consciousness, including you that is sitting before me, will go and vote for APC today? Except you are a demon.
No, but what's
or
to say,
you are a direct beneficiary of the looting that is going on.
What's to say that will change when the PDP gets in there? Because the question rightly is, what exactly do you think is responsible?
The PDP will be different, because I told you that the formative stages of these two parties are different. PDP was a consciously created political party. People sat down. People from all walks of life planned to give birth to a national party. It's an assembly of people for years, no, not years per se, but for over a long period of time, sat down to design a political party. APC is a creation of Paracoism, according to my friend Patrick. People just came and hurriedly organized themselves. Different political parties with different demonic ideologies came together. People, birds of strange fellows, came together within a short time. There's no way you will take concussion and you not have stomach pain. Rice, beans, tuwo, miankuka, ofowere, afam, all combined together in one pot and you eat it. Andrew liver salt will not save you. That is what APC is. APC was hurriedly packaged by birds of strange fellows. And you are bound to have all sorts of characters. There is no satanic character that is not present in APC today. No. Unfortunately, you have a president that his case is totally double jeopardy. No capacity, no capability. Nigeria is it's like a car being driven without steering. Economy is in shambles. Politically, we are in trouble. Security-wise, we are in jeopardy. The entire country, we are in a catastrophic situation. And there is no hope. If there is little hope, you cannot even see your president. You cannot hear your president. When I was a child, and when I was growing up, I could tell you the names of all the ministers and their ministries. I could tell you the name of each state and their governor. But because of redundancy, because of lack of performance, Nigerians don't even know who their ministers are. Can I tell you a shocking thing? That in the entire economic sector of this country, from central bank to Federal Ministry of Finance, to the Minister of Finance, Minister of Budget and Planning, to Office of Budget and Planning, to debt management, in all the financial sectors of this country, to stock exchange, there is no single economist. No single economist. You know why? You cannot give what you don't have. When you have square pegs in round holes, what is happening now is what will happen. When you have nepotism, giving carpentry job to a tailor, what is happening is what will happen. When you have injustice in the three arms of government, both judiciary, legislature, and the executive, what is happening is what will happen. When there is no equitable distribution of human and material resources in the country, what is happening is what will happen. When all political appointment is lopsided to one particular ethnic group and religious group in the country, what is happening is what will happen. Because you cannot have peace where there's injustice. There's injustice in every part of this country. And this government deliberately is creating that injustice by our actions and inactions. So definitely, it's going to be a precarious situation. And that is why we're in perilous times. That is why we're in times of vicissitude and vacillation. That is why we're in times of opprobrium. So there is no solution to it. The only cure to injustice is justice.
Very well, then let's talk about your anti-corruption network. Would you say you've made progress with the EFCC stepping in to address the bailout fund issue with the Kogi state government?
Yeah, we're making progress. And I want to say that this EFCC is saner than the previous ones. And my petition to the EFCC, I gave them 2 Ghana must go bags of evidences. And I want to tell you that I'm impressed with the investigation so far because I'm following it up. A situation whereby one individual in government house, a civil servant, will withdraw close to 60 billion in cash. 10 million. I gave them even the check numbers, the bank accounts, everything I gave to them. One individual will withdraw 10 million 40 times in one day, 30 times in one day. And within a span of 6 years, one individual will withdraw up to 60 billion. Then the entire money of the state stolen. You saw what happened with our 20 billion. That the state is denying that it's not their own. Meanwhile, there was a withdrawal of 600 million from that account. But because of paddy, they look for a soft landing and return the money back to CBN. And that was the money I'm sure the government wants to use to do his presidential campaign. Since that one is missing now, he wrote the National Assembly, the State House of Assembly, for a loan of 18 billion now. But we are going to stop it because I have written the chairman of that bank, I've written the MD of that bank, that they cannot and we must not grant that loan. Kogi state government is a serial debtor. They are owing Zenith Bank, they are owing UBA, they are owing Access Bank since 2016, and they have not paid. Then why will another bank want to give them money? And I want to believe that the board of those banks will take my letters seriously.
You seem to still have bad blood between you and the governor. Has that affected you going home?
There's no bad blood anywhere.
Are you able to travel to Kogi State? Are you able to travel? Are you able to travel to Kogi State?
I traveled to Kogi State. I was still there last week. I traveled to Kogi State anytime. The governor tried to stop me several times. I've had 4 assassination attempts. He's used the police in the past to harass me, to intimidate me. But for me, the battle to salvage the people of Kogi State is a battle of no retreat, no surrender.
Do you still fear for your life?
I'm not afraid of death. And I've conquered fear. And the Ayabelo is too small to stop me from coming into Kogi State. He's a small boy. He can't do that. He can't stop me from coming to Kogi State. Because before he started going to Kogi State, I was in Kogi State. So, for me, he can only continue to try. He can only continue to try. But Kogi State, I will not just move. I dare him in any streets of Kogi State, including Okere where he's from. In fact, including Agasai's village. Let us trek. Let me trek, let him trek. And let's see what the reaction of the people will be. He will be stoned. He will be stoned because he has destroyed the state. My people are crying. People are dying. Salaries are not being paid. Pension not being paid. Wanton killings everywhere. And yet he will bribe CSOs, bribe NGOs. He got award in more than 5 different places as the security governor of the year, including Leadership newspaper gave him award as the security governor of the year. And just a few days ago, the mother of his chief of staff has been kidnapped. And they say he won the award as the most secure state in the country. Yesterday, a police station was burned down in Kogi State. Last year, a DPO with 5 policemen were killed in Kogi State. There is daily case of kidnapping in Kogi State. But people without conscience say he is the governor, security governor of the year.
You do realize that he wants to run for president now?
According to Obasanjo, I dey laugh.
Let's talk about Lawan Senate. You've described this 9th Senate as an extension of the executive arm of government. Where do you fault the Senate?
Anyway, I'm not going to mince words. This 9th Senate, I said, is an appendage, a department of the villa, and I can explain why. And not just the Senate, I'm talking of the National Assembly. Because when you see a child that is misbehaving in a community, you have to look at the foundation, the birth of that child. Any National Assembly, either Senate or the House, that the leadership is not a creation of the parliament, there will always be this problem of blind loyalty at the detriment of the people. Anywhere you see an accountant, an auditor becoming friends, fraud is about to take place. Because by design, the National Assembly and the executive, they are not supposed to be friends. I'm not saying they should be enemies, but they are not supposed to be friends by design, because the National Assembly have constitutional oversight functions over the executive. So, when you see the legislature becoming friends with the executive, then that means there's an unholy marriage.
But what exactly can you point to that has made you draw up this conclusion?
One thing I will point to is the indiscriminate way approvals are being given to the president on anything he brings to the National Assembly. For example, our external debt today, as of today, is 38 trillion, the highest in the history of this country. When the president came in, our external debt was less than 20. Today is 38 trillion. Every loan that the president brought to the National Assembly, reasonable and unreasonable, was approved. Any appointment he brings to the National Assembly, logical or illogical, they approve. The National Assembly have become a rubber stamp and a department of the villain. That is not supposed to be. Cat and rat are not supposed to be friends, because you have oversight functions over the executive, and you are supposed to ask questions, not to be a compliant officer of the president. So that is my worry, and that is my.
But you were part of the 8th Senate.
Very well so.
When the president paid for the Tucano fighter jets without approval from National Assembly, and then wrote to the National Assembly to say that he did that in anticipation of their approval.
If you recall that, and you recall that I also raised a matter of national importance on that matter. I raised a matter of urgent national importance on that matter, and there was a resolution of the Senate on that matter. In fact, the National Assembly wrote the United States government because of these Tucano jets. And the money has been paid since 2016. Till today, I've seen one Tucano jet. So, it's not that we kept quiet, because for me, I have a philosophy, I have a belief, I have a motto that in an unjust society, silence is a crime.
So how would you assess the opposition in the National Assemblies, this 9th National Assembly?
Anyway, I will not talk about opposition. I will say there's an effort by individuals to speak half-truths.
Not collective?
I'm here to see that. That's the truth. I'm here to see the type of opposition that is demanded of either the PDP or any other political party for that matter. I've not seen any serious opposition. Because everything the president brings is still true. Even if I'm in the National Assembly, these laws will not go through.
No, minority will only have their say, remember that.
No, my brother, there is something, civil disobedience is legal. It's legal. Civil disobedience is legal. And conscientizing, informing Nigerians on the happenings in the National Assembly as a caucus is also legal. It's also legal. If every PDP member stop attending session because of infractions of government, they cannot sit alone. They can't.
They can't?
They cannot sit alone.
When the PDP walked out of
you walk out at 1 a.m. 1 p.m. in the afternoon, and the following morning by 8 you are back to the chamber. What's the essence of your walkout? What's the essence of your walkout? But if you are not going to put our own requests, our own suggestions, our own arguments into play, then we leave the place for you. Then the whole world will start asking questions. At times your actions can call international attention and results will be achieved. It's not a mediocre game. The lives of Nigerians is too important to be toyed with. There should be civil disobedience, even by members of the parliament, against the leadership of the parliament, when it is necessary. And out of fear. Because only members can remove the leadership. The executive cannot remove the leadership from outside. Only the members. So if you conscientize yourselves and speak to your conscience, and let Nigerians be agitated, let Nigerians know what is happening, even the APC senators will be afraid to go home because their constituents will ask them questions. But when information is not out, when there's no revelations, when there are no questions, when there are no agitations, everything will be aloof the way it is.
As we wind down, let's talk about the COVID-19 pandemic. You had your stance on the issue of vaccination. Have you been vaccinated now?
Anyway, I won't answer you on national TV if I'm vaccinated or not.
Well, you were against it. You clearly said you didn't want
I was
that.
not against vaccination, remember. Maybe you didn't get it right.
You were against the AstraZeneca?
I was against the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria giving out the least potent vaccines to Nigerians. Because AstraZeneca at that time had the least.
There's Johnson & Johnson now.
I said at that time, I was talking. You are talking.
I know, but how about now?
We are talking of based on when I made my statement.
But I started by asking if you've now been vaccinated.
That's what I'm saying. I said I'm not going to answer that.
Well, you have followers. It's people like you that need to speak up for others to follow and decide whether or not to be vaccinated. So if you say that now, that could have a positive effect on the issue of vaccination.
The Minister of Health, and the issue of vaccination or the question of what you take into your system is personal. And even the Supreme Court in America, I've said there's no universal vaccination. If a civilized country like America would say that individuals have the rights, inalienable rights, to either be vaccinated or not.
You asked for the governor of Kogi State to be vaccinated for receiving palliatives.
Because he said there's no COVID. And eventually he said there's no COVID, there's nothing like COVID. That's what he said. And eventually he went and got vaccinated. So I said, I don't understand. If you say something does not exist, I mean, that's his nature.
All right, distinguished senator, let's talk about direct primaries now. You've taken a stance. You're on the side of the governors who want indirect primaries. You support direct primaries.
Governors want direct primaries? I don't think so.
Governors want indirect primaries. That's what I said.
Okay.
You've stuck with direct primaries.
Yeah.
Where do you see this going?
Anyway, we are waiting for the president. The president will either set this country on fire or be the father of all and do what is needful. We are waiting for him. But I want to tell you that if he refuses to sign the Electoral Act, then you will know that Nigeria is not a banana republic. Because we will be on the streets. I will lead Nigerians to a protest, mother of all protests that have not been seen before. And I'm not afraid of death. This country belongs to all of us. Everything to revive this country is dependent on our electoral process. Once we don't get our electoral process right, everything will continue to go wrong. So we're waiting to see if we will sign the Electoral Act or not.
On the issue of the direct primaries, I feel like we haven't concluded on that.
Yeah, I'm for direct primaries,
yes,
because democracy will continue to be government of the people, by the people, and for the people. To ask a delegate to determine the fates of millions of people, it's not democracy. It's not democracy. It's alienating the rights of others in deciding who will go and represent their party as their flag bearer. So if we are practicing democracy, government of the people, by the people, and for the people should be involved. That means you are taking democracy back to the people through direct primaries. But through indirect primaries, only some opportune delegates who by the positions of their class, their money, are delegates will decide for the majority who should represent their political party in a given election.
But does this have anything to do with the governors controlling the party through the direct?
Definitely, the governors are controlling the party today because the parties are not being run by the parties, by the individuals. Today, if you want to take care of the party executive is a governor. The governor pays for the party secretariat, pays for all Congress forms, decide who runs and who does not run. But if today every member of the political party begin to pay party dues, and party is being run from the proceeds of party dues, the governors will have no power. But they want to continue to subjugate the people. That is why they are agitating for indirect primaries, because they want to decide who will be senator, they want to decide who will be, and the president also may also be interested in that. Like now, national caucuses of the party hold in the villa. During Akiloye days in NPN, Akiloye as party chairman is on the high table. Shagari is on the low table with others. That's when we had party supremacy. But today what we have is governor and president supremacy, not party supremacy. We should go back to the old order, where the people are the determinants of who represent them at various levels of the party primaries.
All right, just before we go, let me congratulate you on your law degree. And I notice how silent you've been with the controversy that has trailed that, with many saying you graduated top of your class or not. You've been silent.
Yeah,
you have refused to speak on the matter.
To rubbish. I have a law degree, you can't take it away from me. And that law degree is my 9th degree. And right now I'm a student again, University of Abuja, I'm doing my PhD in policy analysis. And that's going to be my 10th degree. So let them not pay attention to it until I bag my PhD again and they start making noise. But I enjoy noise making because it propels me. It's my fuel for existence.
All right, distinguished Senator Melai, I think I have one more question for you, and that would have to do with the Independent National Electoral Commission. They've conducted some off-season elections, and as we approach the 2023 general elections, what's your level of confidence in the ability of INEC to conduct a free, fair, in fact, an improved election?
Yeah, I would say that from what happened in Edo, from what happened in Anambra, if INEC can become born again and work in the same spirit, and they allow electronic transmission of results, and they allow the use of technology in conducting the elections, then we can begin to see the light at the end of the day. And if the president signs this electoral act into power, sign it into law, then we're going to have semblance of election in 2023. But as Nigerians, we're not going to sit down again and fold our arms and allow INEC or police or the presidency to determine our future. This time around, now by force by duty, the right thing must be done.
But do you see the National Assembly vetoing the president if he doesn't assent to the electoral?
Which one?
But it's what they want. The lawmakers want that.
That's what I'm saying. Now, which one? The one being presided by Badabia Mila and Lawal to veto president.
Senator Dino Melai, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that's Political Paradigm. Thanks for watching. I'm Terry Ikumi. Goodbye.